please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. Happy President's Day.
Yes.
And
Did he pass today? Oh, he did?
okay, you wanted to do a roll call, please.
Mark Bouchard.
Here.
Maureen Bory.
Here.
Joanne Shirkey.
Absent excuse.
Artie Bryson.
Here.
Christy Hiltonen.
Absent excuse.
Chris O'Regan.
Here.
Cindy Valentine here.
All right. Before we get going on, I don't want to get this lost in the mix of everything. Our Elginak wrestling team, major kudos. I got a text from Christy's, her son's in it too. They, this past week, they won our districts, and they are going Friday as team for our states. And they're playing Portland in round one. They are the second seed in the state to go to states. And they're leaving here Friday. Then the following weekend as individuals, we're sending 10 gentlemen and one female, one lady to the state competition in Ford Field the following weekend, which is way cool. And our coaches were voted regional coach and assistant coach of the year also. So big kudos to them. And congratulations. And we got this letter handed to me. To the Clay Township Police and Fire Departments, our 22-23 Elginak Muskrat Wrestling team, parents, coaches, and families would like to say thank you for the welcome home escort from our regional win against Richmond Wednesday night. Not only were our families thrilled to have the escorts, but it gave something for our kids to remember for the rest of their lives. They have worked so hard for so many years, and we are certainly blessed to be a part of a community that takes pride in our victories and our athletic teams and supports students, athletes, such in a positive way. Your contribution last night to make this moment even more special is appreciated so much. Thank you for all you do. Let's go Muskrats. And there's probably about 25 signatures from different families.
Wow. Yeah, go Muskrats. Beautiful.
So, way cool. Go Rats for sure. So, I just wanted to get that before we get in the mix of things. So, all right. Motion adjourned? No. Okay, bills payable. I'll entertain a motion.
Board, I'd like to make a motion to approve bills payable in the amount of $139,968.55.
Support.
Okay, we have motion and support. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Maureen Bory.
Yes.
Artie Bryson.
Yes.
Chris O'Regan.
Yes.
Cindy Valentine, yes. Mark Bouchard.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, next we got the supervisor's report. Actually, we've been working on a solution for our wastewater treatment for Sans Souci. We're looking at a 2,500 gallon a day batch plant.
25,000.
Or 25,000, yes, thank you. That utilizes actually algae in the treatment. And then when we grow this algae, we're able to sell the algae. They make ink and plastic with it and sell carbon credits on the open market. Getting quotes right now and talking to different companies. The footprint that we're looking at is 30 by 90, right? And it's like a big greenhouse, actually. Also, there's financing available through a P3, public-private partnership. There's a lot to look at, but we're definitely looking hard at this solution for the Sans Souci, because they have an issue there. Our wastewater treatment plant actually is officially going to be named Municipal Utility Authority, MUA. Throw an I on there, we got Maui, right? Mm-hmm. But I wanted CIA, but I thought the hats would look cool. That didn't fly. Pearl Beach, we got a lot going on. Pearl Beach bathrooms, public bathrooms, the Pearl Beach Pier Parking Lot, and pickleball courts in the park are all going out for bid. I'm not sure if they actually went out, probably go out this week. So, and also, great news. Clay Township was awarded a Spark grant for our new playscape and some other amenities in the park. This is a no-match grant for $584,000. In other words, we don't need 20%, 10%. It's a no-match grant. It was very competitive. There was about 600 applicants, but I was told about 450 applicants actually applied. There was a lot that they didn't make it to the party, and only 21 were awarded. So it was very competitive. And like I always say, free money is not easy money. There's a lot of paperwork. We're already starting the process of accepting the grant, and at some point in everything, when I receive the actual grant acceptance from the state, we'll have to approve it and accept it. And I can't really put anything out for quotes or anything till after that's all approved. And I did contact the vendors. They're looking at a 6-month lead time. So my guess is next spring we'll see shovels in the dirt. I doubt if this fall. I don't know. So, but that's what it works. That's how it works. I did put a second grant in, or application in, for outdoor exercise equipment along the walking path. I will resubmit those on round 2 and round 3 if needed, to see if we can grab that. But it was a way cool thing. And I heard from a lot of different communities that they were a little jealous of us, but that's okay.
Good job, Supervisor.
Thank you. I was a little bummed that Elginak didn't get their one for their pool, but I think they scored, looking at it and everything I know, they're going to get it either round 2 or round 3, I'm guessing. Road Commission is having the annual meeting every year, February 23rd at 12:30 up at the Road Commission by the airport, 12:30 to 2 if anyone wants to come with me. We mentioned the last meeting about we needed a new control panel and really a computer to manage our emergency sirens. I got a quote for $13,200, and me, I always got my hand out. The county's actually going to pay $10,000 of that, and I just received word that Homeland Security is going to pay for the balance. So it's going to cost us nada. Let's see. Oh yeah, I wrote this before. Friday had a visit from our new State Senator Kevin Hertel. And it's primarily about EGLE overreach. And it went very well. We showed him properties on the mainland and Harson's Island. And he's a new senator to us because of redistricting, how it worked. But I'm really came away with a positive feeling. We're going to have a good working relationship with him. He talked to some property owners here on the mainland, and on the island, and it went very well. And actually, I got an email from him this morning that he wants to make the sewage project a priority in Sans Souci. So,
Perfect.
yes. So, like I say, I think we are going to have a good working relationship with him. Clay cleanup days. This spring is May 20th, and we have an additional day on the island. We go 21st on the island. So get all your garbage and get it ready for us. Had a lot of meetings this past week, met with the new trap shooting team right here for the Elginak High School. They're pretty motivated, have parents and some financial support, and that looks like it's going to be a thriving team. Also with Sturgeons for Tomorrow, the Piece to Piece Quillers I met, and I sponsored some Marines. First I brought them into the Elginak High School, some Marines, because they have some scholarship opportunities and other programs. They want to do a community outreach. And it was very interesting in the school, and some of the school and our students should be able to take advantage of that. And then later, I sponsored them at the Harson's Island Muskrat Dinner at the Harson's Island Lions. So that was interesting. Let's see, I met with the DNR over several things, and then the DNR had did a presentation to a fifth grade classroom that they're building this outdoor classroom project in the woods next door to them, and it was really interesting. I learned a lot, actually. I should turn this off. And they're gonna do some cool stuff that the DNR they're gonna do. It's called a bio blitz, where they go and they kind of, it's like a scavenger hunt for the kids. They got to go and identify all the animals, trees, plants, insects, and everything. It went really well. Let's see. This coming Friday at 10 a.m. there's a 26-mile corridor study results meeting at Casco, I believe, at 10. I'll be there. And also we had a EDA, St. Clair County Economic Development Authority lunch meeting, and that was so boring, stick a needle in my eye. Nothing great there. And also we had an MTA St. Clair County chapter meeting. And we're working on all kinds of fun stuff with Clay Days, music in the park, and other things. So, any questions from anybody on the board?
Good job.
Thank you. Lots of positive stuff going on. Some days you feel like the bear eats you, and this past week we ate the bear.
Or the rat.
Or the rat, and the rat. We ate the rats too. So.
How many did you have?
I think I had 1.5. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, same.
Same? Yeah. The next day you're kind
I
of.
tried to find a wing in there, but it was.
Yeah, no wings. All right. That concludes my supervisor's report. Public comments. Do we have any public comments? Come on up and state your name and address.
Christine Holcomb, 1202 Gore, Harson's Island. Good evening. I am here tonight on behalf of Sans Souci Downtown Incorporated. I wanted to introduce you to our organization. We're pretty newly formed. We've been meeting since about September. And we are a nonprofit volunteer organization designed to support community efforts to create a thriving and sustainable downtown Sans Souci that serves all members of our community. As you know, Harson's Island has a lot of history dating back to the 1800s, and we're eager to make it prosperous and bring it back to the gem that it once was. We have a lot of things on our agenda that we're hoping to be able to accomplish. Like I said, we're still fairly new. Our Our organization consists of Susie Pryor, Patty Bain, Ashley Palashuk, who you may be familiar with. She works over at the schoolhouse, Kathy Schweikart, Cindy Pilato, and myself. We had the opportunity to introduce ourselves to HISCVA at the last meeting, and they were very receptive and actually gave us our first donation. So we were very grateful for that. I also had an opportunity last Friday to speak with Senator Hertel for just a brief minute and introduce him to our organization, and kind of gave him a short synopsis of some of the visions we have moving forward. And he seemed very receptive and very interested in working with us and trying to help us with our endeavors. He had mentioned, since the DDA district is located on the mainland, he mentioned possibly a TIFA, and I know Artie said he's going to try and look into that for us. So it's just some of the things that we're looking forward to working for and with the community, with our local government and state government and other organizations to achieve our goals and visions for Sans Souci and try and make it a nice destination with lots of things and beautify the downtown area. And we appreciate any assistance we can get, and either through donations, we've received some public donations already too, help from some trades or businesses maybe and things that we have planned. But we just want to give you an idea that we're out there and we're trying to help, and we've got a lot that we'd really like to do. So thank you.
Good, thank you.
Just briefly, Patty Bain, 757 North Channel on Harson's Island. And one thing, one of our first goals is infrastructure, and we have a parking issue down there. So what we're looking for, we've got the bar opening soon. We're all real excited about that. We've got, hopefully somebody will go into the landing one day. A lot of events that, have started up as an annual thing, and we just don't have the parking. So again, if the board or if you can help us with any grants or you have any ideas, I know you do a lot down at Pearl Beach. Maybe there's some things that you could kind of go our way. There's been a couple parcels that sold recently in and around Sans Souci that would have been great for parking. They weren't near any homes, the lights from the cars and so on. But and in my opinion, they were reasonable. So it might be something that you guys can help us with. So we'd really appreciate that. I just had one thing kind of off topic, a question about Ms. Shirkey and her, kind of what's going on with her position here.
Well, it's private.
No, not with her personally,
What's
but
that?
not with her personally,
Right.
but just when we've got a couple really great candidates wrote an
Yep.
application. So
Yep.
just wondered if you could give us an update on when that might be available.
Okay.
But again, thanks for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, any other public comments?
Don Davies, Smith Street, Algonac. You got to be pretty impressed that I sat right in that chair and my head didn't explode when you were talking about the Spark grant. So I thought that was very nice of me. I was quiet. I just want to give a shout out to Mark, to Artie, to Chief Coach, who got me the donations from the Police Officers Association and the Fraternal Order of Police for our Show the Love dinner dance for the Arc of St. Clair County. I can't thank everybody enough for their help. And Chief Coach had told me that he wants to help me as much as he can, and anyone who knows me, that's now etched in my brain, and no one can hide. Because there are things that I want to do. My daughter's 37 years old. There's nothing like the dances that we have at the dinner. Things like this to get the adults who are developmentally impaired to be able to, so they can do stuff. COVID hit them really hard. They used to have dances. They used to be able to interact with their friends. Slowly, their day programs opened, and they could see their friends. But it took a long time. It took a toll. My daughter was living independently, and I ended up bringing her home. So I'm really working on getting some things going out here. I know that there are a lot more adults who could use these services than we know about. So we're working on it, and thank you, Mark. Thank you, Artie.
Can you give us like a 2-minute synopsis what the ARC does?
Okay. The ARC is, and it's nationwide. What the ARC does is they help parents of kids and adults get access to the services that are out there for them. They will go to, well, we have advocates who will sit with parents during meetings with the schools to make sure that their kids are getting the services that they're entitled to.
For development?
Yes, for developmentally impaired children and adults. And we don't charge for this. You want an advocate to come with you to an IEP meeting, and I've been there, done that. And when you are first given the knowledge that your child is going to need services, you're trying to absorb that and then trying to sit down and get a clue of where to go next. And it is incredibly hard. And to be able to provide advocates to these parents so they can, to make sure that they get the services that they're entitled to through the state of Michigan, helps immensely. In my daughter's situation for the adults, the woman who is the executive director of the ARC, her name's Val Hutchins. That's a one-woman show there. She is the guardian for 15 developmentally impaired adults. I'm guardian for one, my daughter, and it'll make your head spin. I can't imagine. And she's a one-woman show. We survive through the United Way, through some funds from community mental health. There used to be a bigger presence of the ARC in the Downriver area. There was. I hadn't realized until I brought my daughter home that they didn't have what they used to have. And that's how I got on the board of directors. It's desperately needed. And people aren't quite so aware of it. And, you know, there are some people that say, well, you got a strong voice in the community. You can help us out. Now, I personally think that's people just being really nice and saying, Don, you have a big mouth and we really need you. We're going to get some stuff going. So I will probably be here a little bit more. And then, you know, won't have to sit there and listen to Spark Grant and stuff and make sure my head.
Oh, the event was well done. It was fun. It was a good event.
He was the auctioneer for Pistons tickets and a really nice cooler of liquor that Bill Brady had donated. Mark was there on behalf of the Lions. It was fun.
Yeah.
We had a blast. And I want to do things like that down here. I already sucked the Lions into want to do a barbecue for the kid. And I always say kids, they're not kids, but have them help. So we're working on it.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, not seeing any. Move right along to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the minutes from the board meeting of 2/6/23, check reports, including board approved and paid in between meetings.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. Any questions or anything? Hearing none. All in favor of the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, first thing on our agenda is PCE. Anthony's here, engineering for our Clearwater State Revolving fun loan. Take it away.
Thank you. So to go along with this discussion, I printed a little bunch of maps because I think it's hard to see anything that's colored and it's small, 8.5 by 11. So
Bifocals help.
yeah. So basically, we're in the wrap-up final phase, final report phase of the SAW grant. The end of the month is when we'll submit. But we also have an intent to apply out through the state revolving fund for the clean water section, which is the sanitary sewer rehabilitation fund, based on a couple items. One being previous condition assessments that have been done on our interceptor sewer that we share with IRA, and then our assessment of our system, exclusively Clay Township's system, which was done over the 3-year SAW grant. So these maps kind of summarize one of the most important criteria. The state makes us do this like twice. And the reason is, in the SAW grant, they had stipulated, and this is from 2015, so they've kind of also evolved since then, but it previously was all about a risk matrix. And so the way they evaluated sewer conditions was your consequences of failure related to your likelihood of failure. And when you get up in the upper right of that matrix, that's, a problem that needs to be addressed. And we did that as a part of this grant. And the consequences of failure are things we assign the system that are just the nature of it. It's servicing a critical infrastructure. It's under a road or under a canal where if it fails, it would be a big consequence of failure. So that's not in these maps because it would confuse things, but the likelihood of failure does relate to kind of both aspects. So it's the one part of the risk matrix, and it's also from that. Now, like I said, the state makes us do this twice, so then in order for us to then go and ask the revolving fund for money, we need to do a condition assessment based on structure only. And what that means is that the pipes have operation and maintenance conditions, which can be dealt with by cleaning or heavy cleaning, flailing, things like that are maintenance related. And then they have structural issues, like a lot of ours are joint offset large, which means the pipes, when they were put in place or over time, they've come apart. They've started to come apart at the seam, so they pull away. That's a very common issue we have, just kind of unique to our township. Other communities have bed failure, so the pipe bedding failed and it sags, like up the river. In New Baltimore, it's more like when they built the houses, they broke a hole in the pipe and protruded the pipe lead through, so they have all these protrusions. So every community is a little different, and what decade it was built and who was doing that and what materials they used.
Failure, huh?
Yeah, so the state, when you come down to the brass tacks and you ask them for money, they say, we want you to take all those maintenance-related issues off the list. We don't want to hear about those. Those are things you'll budget in your operations and maintenance, your operational expenses budget long-term, and we just want the structural stuff. So when I come back to you with my presentation, there'll be a revision, a little different map. It's going to be similar. Sorry, it's going to be similar, but basically these are the maps that are the likelihood of failure maps. I have them zoomed in per region, and the red means 5. 5 is the worst, so high likelihood of failure, all the way down to blue, which is low likelihood of failure. So you can kind of see that. The maps aren't going to change drastically from this, but there'll be some small here and there revisions based on structural codes. Some of the O&M codes, operation maintenance codes will go out. But this gives you a great idea of everything, from the risk matrix to the likelihood of failure and what we'll end up repairing in this SRF loan. So these maps they're PCE. There's also the aerial maps that OEM prepared, like I mentioned before, in the previous condition assessment was just for the interceptor, which was commissioned by the Road Commission, the St. Clair County. And they use a similar likelihood of failure. They don't call it that. They call it priority 1, priority 2, but, you know, also similar red color, meaning, which is another way of saying like a 5 in our NASCO assessment. This isn't NASCO, the one that OEHM did, so it's not something you could do in a SAW grant, but it gives you the same piece of information. The reds are the ones that we're going to be rehabilitating. So with that being said, that condition assessment report was put out, and I think it's in their packet, the 2 pages from their report.
Yep.
Which was used to apply for congressional spending. And like our drinking water state revolving fund, this one has $1 million congressional spending earmark associated with it as well. So it's a grant of $1 million towards whatever project we're putting together through the SRF program. So this clean water one will have some additional revenue streams. One from Congress and the other one from IRA. You know, this sort of locks in their responsibility, their share, and I think even already even engineering, they've committed their
they're going to commit. I talked to them. They're backing. I backed that out.
Yeah.
IRA share.
So IRA will follow it along through the process, which kind of keeps everything neat, makes sure that everybody's wrapping up that rehab responsibility. So that's basically the gist behind the SRF loan. The deadlines are actually a little bit like a month earlier than the drinking water loan, but we've been doing so much with the SAW grant that it's the soonest I could get to you with it. But it's April 1st deadline for our draft, and then our final is due May 1st. That's the project plan, and then we don't go through the same scoring because we've tagged that earmark to our loan application, and it's kind of a strategy that we've done for you twice to prevent us from having to go into the big list where we're fighting with people who are complete basket cases, and that's how they get funded, and we don't, you know. So this puts us off to the side because Congress has earmarked our funds, and we get prioritized based on that. We just have to now meet the criteria of the SRF loan because that's how Congress does it. They'll earmark it to a program, and that program makes sure you follow all the requirements. So that way everything's official, you know. So I don't know if you've seen this proposal, if it's in the packet, but there it describes where we're doing rehabilitation within the system that we've identified in the SAW. I actually wrote here structural rating 5 and 4. I can be even more specific now and say that the 4s are exclusively on Anchor Bay Drive. And that's because there's just a lot of 4s there. 4 is like one down from a 5. And because there's so many, it doesn't make sense to disrupt that area. We'll just do one rehab and they'll be good for a long time, you know. It's also high risk of flooding and high water, and that really affects our sewer system. So that'll protect people downstream from that area having a lot of infiltration. So a lot of joint offsets out there. So that's pretty much my presentation. Anyone have any questions?
So the bill or the proposal for the engineering so we qualify for the state revolving fund was $50,785. But then I called Anthony. Whoa! IRA's got to kick in, and so 3/5 of this was for our interceptor. So and they're responsible for half. So half of the 3/5. They're agreeing. I think they're talking about it tonight. Actually, they're going to pay $15,235.50 towards this bill. So our balance is what, $344,999.50 to And, you know, it's fair, it's what we need.
Isn't it just a little bit more than that? I mean, am I looking at these numbers correctly? Like the 34,999 plus Ira's contribution of 15,235, right?
Yeah.
Well, we fall about 500 and some
Oh,
dollars
am I?
short.
Did I
of
mess
the
up on my math?
5780. Yeah, a little bit.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the
I
numbers
did it on the
correctly.
wing.
I think we're about $500 light, so our balance
Okay.
is probably
35, 500?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry.
39. I'm sorry, no, 35. Yeah.
Be
Yeah,
35,
the easier way to do it is just, you're paying 70%.
500.
Because half of 3/5 is 3/10, or is 30% is
Yeah.
IRS. So
Okay.
it's a little easier.
I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the numbers correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, so it makes, 35, and what is your?
It
yeah,
doesn't have
yours-
539
You're a little
on
more,
the
yeah.
attachment and 34 on the agenda. That was my problem.
Oh,
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, on the agenda.
Don't look at the attachment, the one in blue on the bottom.
So you could probably fix that, so the real number is gonna be 35,549.50.
okay.
So what that includes is, like I said, the project plan. There's some work involved with the congressman to make sure that money gets earmarked into our project, that the SRF loan program knows about their money, and that we, that we make sure that those things connect, which takes a lot of narratives, to say the least. So, you know, it's about a good month and a half of solid work for us to get it where they need it to be. So, and that's why they do a rough draft, and they send us a boatload of comments in the rough draft, and then we have 4 weeks to give them the final. So,
Can we paint with a macro, a big broad brush for a minute?
sure.
Let me see if I can summarize this in my mind. We went through the SOL grant process along with PCE's help, right? And what that was for is to really identify the existing system and where the problems occurred within the system, right?
Yep. Part of it.
So we're almost done with that,
Yep.
correct?
Correct.
And so now Phase B is addressing the findings of your engineering, right?
That's right.
And the SOL grant.
That's right.
What that paid for. And so what this does, this request, is to help us prepare documentation to the government for potential loans or grants.
Both. Yes.
Both.
In our
Because
case,
it
both.
says, it's a revolving fund loan, right? And I looked up on these loans, and they're a low interest loan, up to 30 years of approximately 1.2%.
875. Yep.
Yeah, they're 1.875 now.
1.875.
1.875?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so it's a little bit higher than what I found online.
Yep.
Okay. But that's annual, right? So that's going to be up to 30 years, depending on our borrowing.
Yeah, you have 20 or 30-year options in the SRF loan. You get a
Okay.
little better interest rate.
Okay. Now, is there also a grant
Yeah.
part of
So this is good. I can explain how
the
this works.
SRF?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
so the way it works is you have to submit your whole project amount, regardless of what grant and money you'll pay cash or what have you, because that's your project.
Okay.
Once you get through the point of a loan closing, they convert that into a construction bond to pay for it. That construction bond is, no, you're only paying interest during the period of the construction bond, which can be 2 years. And so that construction bond is what we draw from, and what Christy will be doing draw reimbursements for. What's special about the SRF loan program is we don't actually have to pay anything out of pocket. Once we get invoices, we can immediately do a draw request. And so if done in good sequence, there's really nothing that comes out of our bank account, because it'll come straight from the bond. At the end of the construction, at the end of the bond, whatever we've expended now becomes a loan, unless we decide to put grant money towards it or cash. If, let's say, it's the whole 5.73, then it would all convert to a loan at that point in time.
Or the 573.
For the remaining period of the loan, 28 years if it's a 30-year, or 18 years if it's a 20-year.
Okay.
if you decided to, well, now, in our case, we'll have $1 million. So it'll be 4.73 automatically. So the debt forgiveness happens right then at the conversion from the construction bond to the loan. So it becomes $1 million less right there. And then if Clay Township decides to put money of their own towards it, then that also happens at that time. Because you're basically drawing off of the construction bond. Because they're converting that into an investment grade bond. So the state sells them.
You need a whiteboard.
They'll sell it on the open market,
Yep.
right?
Yes. That's what our state does.
Okay.
So, and we go through that whole process with you to make it investment grade with your bond counsel and municipal advisors. So we follow them all the way through the process. And so the financial side of it kind of comes into your 1B in new business, which is the workshops. Christy and I do all our sewer fund through Waterworth, through our cash model. That is expendable. It's the only way.
What ifs.
Yeah, it's the only way for our bond counsel to see that we've accounted for those loan payments, the 2 years of interest only, that we're going to be solvent and be able to pay back our loan. That's how I found it to be. I mean, otherwise they're sifting through a lot of things that aren't related to project, because our CPAs put things in different categories. And so it makes it a longer process, a lot more expensive process. With
Do
our
we check on
municipal advisors.
our bond rating, or do we have to physically set funds aside to address the interest?
They want
for
to make
that
sure we
two-year
can pay
period?
it back
I'm with you.
Yeah. So
in our rate structure.
depending
Okay.
on the community, like we don't have a lot of debt here. So in our case, there won't be any questions because of our bond capacity as a township and the revenue that we bring in. If it was close, or if we had debt and we still needed to do it, then I've seen communities that had to pledge their funds, their state funds, right, towards it, or something along those lines to make it work. So, but that'll be something that's done on their side in the evaluation.
Yeah.
And they work with MFA, Michigan Finance Authority, for the closing. So they do that whole closing with us. And that's what allows us. Now, in that whole process of project plan, which is now to loan closing, we actually create the construction drawings later on after the project plan. We go out to bid, we get the bidders, we select the contractors. The whole thing happens before the loan closes. So that the last thing is loan closing. So we know exactly how much we're going to pay. We even have a contingency built in, and we have a contingency built into the bond in case of inflation. Because once you set your bond and you announce Clay Township's going to go out for X amount of money in bond, You're stuck. You can't go back. You can't go up. You can go down. You can go down as much as you want, but you can't go back up. So at that point, you'll lose a whole year cycle. And the big risk is losing any earmarked money from Congress, because they want it spent, because that's why they've earmarked it.
Yep.
Next year, they have a whole different set of projects they want to look at. So that's why it's kind of a good to know the roadmap that you're going to follow, so that as we go through it, you'll say, okay, we're at this step. And what we'll do is I'll create a little milestone schedule that I'll share with the board because we're in a trajectory now with the project plan. They'll put us in. They actually do half quarters, so we'll know which quarter we're in which half quarter. So we're quarter 2, 2.5, 3. Once I know that, then I know exactly the dates and what we're going to do by those dates, and I can share that with the board. So you know exactly as we walk towards loan closing and when that's going to be. So
we'll know more once we get the scope of the project more defined. Then we go out for bid, and then we get prices, we get all our numbers together, and that's when we talk to the bond council, the state,
Correct.
And everybody else.
Yep, we'll get all of them involved. So yeah, that being said, I'll talk a little bit about the budget workshop related activities in the next topic. But we also I'll have a presentation for you of all the other components that were in the SAW, like flow monitoring, like the rate study, level of service related activities. So there's like 6 components to the whole SAW, and condition assessment and inventory were only 2 of the components. We also have our GIS system that we built during the SAW. So yeah, there's a lot of other things that we got out of it, but this particular one, condition assessment and then the rate study, are the ones that are the most valuable for our loan.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony, in your findings, like on some of these side roads and everything, is there a cause to why they're 4 and 5s? Is it age? Is it gas?
Yeah, there is. We're not really like required to say, like some of it's speculation. If we were to say, well, it could have been done during construction or it happened. But if there's a sag, then that gives us some clues. But
Right.
But it is an investigation, if you will, into why, and that goes into our ways of rehab. So we kind of determine the causes of that problem, and we bake that into our solution or rehabilitation solution. If it has no sag, it could have been something done during the construction and they just weren't driven all the way home, and so that then causes incrustation and leaks over time, and that's easily fixed by doing, let's say, a pipe lining. So if it's just a few joints, then there's economics involved. We can do patches of just those joints, not do the whole lining of the pipe, and we save a ton of money doing it that way.
We're still in the theory or the process that we are going to repair existing rather than replace with new.
Yeah, replacing with new open cut, or because you can't really directional bore gravity pipe. We didn't do it, but we've seen it done, and it's like a wave, and that doesn't really work too well in a half full pipe. So open cut would be your other option, and open cutting would be a lot of restoration costs. A lot of these pipes are between the houses and the seawall, so it's these people's front yards looking out on the water. So it's not something that we want to necessarily get real heavy into, because you'll have a lot of impact on the community if you do a lot of open cutting. Trenchless, majority of the time, other than some very unique locations where we might have like a manhole rehab, so there'll be a little bit more going on if it's a manhole that's got a major issue. But otherwise, they don't even know that you're there, because the trenchless solution, it's an inversion lining, so it's done in the pipe while the sewers are live, and it's done quite rapidly through manholes, and then they send in a robot that reinstates all the houses, because you've lined it. Now you reinstate those holes, and then there's another robot that comes in and puts one in that connection point between the house and the main. That's also done robotically, trenchlessly underground. So that's being done right now in New Baltimore, East China, Cotterville. Those 3 communities are getting trenchless rehab in that same fashion. And I can think one manhole in East China that's a disturbance.
Lance, you had a question?
This was just like some of the repairs that we just had done on Colony.
Right.
Butterfield
And Butterfield.
was another one.
They were just on Colony here about 2 weeks ago that they'd done 5 repairs.
Yeah, we fixed manholes and.
Yep. So that's kind of, there's really no comparison. I mean, we actually, part of the project plan, the state requires us to show the difference in cost. So you'll see that in our project plan, and
Okay.
it's going to blow your mind how much more it is in terms of restoration costs.
I have one last question. So this fix, what is it, a 50-year fix?
Well, it's like a new pipe.
Right.
And our system's from 1977. So we've got new pipe in 1977, and we haven't done very much since to it. So that'll give us, I would expect, at least as long
Okay.
a duration. So we're using better materials now, better technology for the connection point. Before, you had main laid in, and then houses came over time in all kinds of phases. And so then when that tap gets connected, that's a different material pipe, that's a different connection point that has a weakness. That's now new pipe, new connection point, for at least 5 feet, which is the easement. That's our responsibility. Outside the easement's the private homeowner.
All right, any questions or anything? I'll entertain a motion that we accept our share of the bid for, was it $35,549.50?
Board, I'll make a motion to approve the PCE engineering for the CWSRFL in the amount of $35,549.50.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. Do we have any more discussion?
When are you going to submit bids, approximately?
So if we're in April, May project plan, the end of this year, we could potentially have bids go out by the end of the year. That would be like we'd be in the first quarter of the phase. So there's, you have the whole 12 months that they allow you to fit your project into. So if we went for a Q1, then we would be able to have bids in by the end of the year.
Okay, with the work being done, who's going to be the project manager? PCE, or are they hiring that independently?
No, we do the project, not the project management, but we do inspection and contract administration.
Okay.
That's our responsibility. The contractor that we select will have the qualifications necessary to manage their project. We'll have an inspector assigned to them. It's a lot more intensive in drinking water than it is in this trenchless rehab for sewers. There's a lot less to worry about. There's some small issues, but in drinking water, there's, it's a much more critical, entity in itself. But yeah, we watch the contractors all the way through, doing all the pay applications and.
And you know what I'm getting at?
No.
The previous work on Colony.
Yeah, okay. I know what you mean.
Okay.
This is different because this project, a little bit of it, that was drinking water on Colony. So that's why drinking water is more critical.
There was a lot of unknowns with that, too.
Yeah, and so the major issue is restoration costs. And that's why we went with trenchless for the sanitary. And so approaching a project in our initiation phase, in the conceptual phase, is where we decide how to avoid those problems.
Okay.
Not when we're hip deep in it. We want to be making those kind of decisions in our design phase. Anything we can do trenchless in terms of directional boring for drinking water, for our drinking water projects, that'll be the case. But that would be the drinking water one I came to you 2 weeks about. That's one where we want to avoid any pitfalls like we saw on Colony with our projects here. So
Good.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we have motion and support. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Artie Bryson.
Yes.
Chris O'Regan.
Yes.
Cindy Valentine, yes. Mark Bouchard.
Yes.
Maureen Bory.
Yes.
All right, you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I just wanted to add one thing. The next item
Yep.
is the budget workshop. So I mentioned to Christy, or Christy and I were talking about rate studies, and I really find it beneficial, especially when we're going into these discussions with bond counsel and municipal advisors, to do an annual rate study. Even if you only do it for a few years and then you decide that you're good, it will really help you not to have to make long-term, automatic, decisions on your rates, things like that. You can kind of work your way towards a comfortable position, and then how you craft your rate structure, and everybody's included. So all you decision makers are able to say, well, what if we do this, or what if we do that, and we can bring our model up on the screen for all of us, and I'll do that real time for you. So I'll make that change that Chris says to make, and then we see what happens, right? and then I can reverse that and we try another one. And finally, we'll save the scenario that everybody likes the best, and that becomes your budget for rates for that year, that fiscal year. And some communities, because of the way they work, they like doing it every year. And I've been doing it every year for 6 years. So it really depends, and it's really a benefit for you guys. It's a 1-2 hour session that covers usually your water and sewer, and you get a lot done in 2 hours. And then you never see me again for another year until you're ready to do it again. Because it's not something you mess with a lot. Everybody feels comfortable, you're set with that, you run with that, and then next year you put in your audit, everything gets calibrated in the model, and you get to see, that turned out, or no, that never got done, we got to keep bumping it, then you have to make some small edits in areas like that.
Yeah.
So
Forecasting
just wanted
tool,
to,
right?
yeah, exactly. And that tool can forecast out 100 years if you want to, So everything gets really small when it's 100 years out, but you can do a long ways out in that model. There's no limit.
All right, thank you.
What's the estimate on that, on the study?
2 hours of my engineering time. We already own
okay.
the software.
Yeah.
Great, okay, great.
All right, thanks, Anthony.
Yeah,
All
2
right.
hours of his time.
Next, we have on our agenda is the set budget workshops. First, I think, I haven't really talked to anybody about this, but first what we gotta do is amend our current budget too, don't we? We got quite a few amendments. So,
Do we have to amend things before we set the budget workshops?
no,
No.
no.
Okay.
So,
No, I just want to make sure it's on our radar.
Yeah.
Maybe set something for the end of March, just to kind of see where we're at and what we have a bunch of CBA agreements that are coming due
right,
that we need to get on. So just kind of like a push to start gathering some information and see where we're at this year versus where we think we're going to be next year.
I could do like, gone then, March 20th, 21st.
How long do we need? Will we need like a half a day? A couple of hours? A couple of sessions?
Few sessions.
Yeah.
Few sessions?
Yeah, a couple hours for a few sessions. What day works best? Let me ask you guys that.
I like Thursdays.
Okay.
I'm just being selfish.
What day was that?
Thursday? Thursday's fine with me.
Thursday is good with me.
Maybe like the 23rd and 30th?
Can't do the 23rd. I can do the 30th.
I can't do the 30th. I'm leaving the 28th for about 10 days. So I'm going to miss that April 3rd meeting.
I like Wednesdays.
You do the 22nd?
I can do the 22nd.
22nd, 29th?
Well, I'll miss the second one because I'm leaving on the 28th. Can you do maybe the 22nd and the 27th, or 22nd and 24th?
2nd and maybe the 5th of April?
Yeah, we could do the 5th of April.
Okay.
How's that? Does that work for your calendar right now?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm gone from the 28th to the 7th. So the 5th
What time are you thinking on the Wednesday?
3:22 and 4.
Oh,
I don't think this one's just going to be super critical. It's just kind of seeing where we're at.
Right.
And looking at what we need to do to actually start hammering out a budget. I just want to make sure it seems like the budget gets here, we start looking at it, it's hurry up, push it through, we're running out of time.
I missed the 5th too, so why don't you guys just do the 29th then? 22nd, 29th, I'll be there for one and I'll just miss the second one.
do you want to do it,
Well, in that case, you might as well
make it
do
a
it
lunch
Thursday.
thing? What works, like 10 to 2 or 1 to, or an afternoon thing? I mean,
I'm open on time, whatever you guys
10
want.
to 2 sounds wonderful.
1 to 2, or the
10
other
to
one,
2.
10 to 12. is
10 to-
fine with me.
10 to 12, I
Yeah,
mean.
nothing after 2.
Okay. We'll start at 10 a.m.
On the 22nd.
Yep.
And then if you guys want to do the 29th or whatever, if you like that Thursday, go ahead.
The 30th?
the 30th?
Yeah, 30th,
10 to 12?
sure.
All right. So at least we have something on paper, right?
Yeah, not to say that, they can't be changed or anything.
But at
it's-
least it's
And,
something.
and,
Something,
yeah,
yes.
we'll get the ball rolling,
I like it.
So, all right.
322, 10 to 12, 3:30, 10 to 12.
Yep,
That's tentative. That's
10 to noon, or is it 10 to 2? 10 to noon?
10 to noon.
10 to noon.
Okay.
Start getting squirrely after. All right. Do we need a vote on that?
Aye?
Huh?
Aye?
all in favor.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
I hope
sounds
it's good for
good.
Christie.
All right. Last thing, we have a lawsuit we have to deal with, so I just need a motion to retain Seibert and Dioske, our township attorneys, to represent us in this lawsuit.
Is that your motion?
Yes. I'll make that motion. Do we have support?
Support.
A motion and support. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I'll abstain from that.
Yes, you're abstaining. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Sounds good. Board member comments. Ms. Valentine, what do you got to say for yourself?
Similar to your sentiments earlier, congratulations to our Muskrat wrestlers for winning regionals, districts, regionals, individuals. They're doing a great job, and best of luck at states.
Good,
all I
Mark?
Planning Commission, this Wednesday at 7 PM, we'll be discussing various items, including North Channel, Point Trumbull restroom, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, I'm gonna come to that meeting.
Thank you very much. And rezoning on Dyke Road, and public hearings on the existing noise ordinance, as well as the SALU apartment over at Old Priors.
Okay.
Me?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm excited about what you're working on for Sans Souci, so thank you for doing that, and great introducing yourself, Sans Souci downtown. Well, we're looking forward to great things and hope we can do whatever we can do for you.
Good. Yeah, I contacted our planner about a month ago about doing a TIFA or something there. And I sent him another email today to reinforce that, to make sure he's checking in on it, so,
Great.
yeah.
Ladies of the Sans Souci downtown, is it Inc.? It's
Yes.
incorporated? All right.
They got a,
I was just wondering if it was like a he, woman, boy theater club, or if there were actually men involved. You just don't want them to get in the way, do you? Well, I'm anxious to see the good things, and I'm anxious to see the gym restored. I'll say that. Thank you to Dawn Davies for the education, the enlightenment, and for sharing some of your thoughts and sentiments with us. Yeah, congratulations to the Algonac Wrestling.
Yes.
What a treat. Coach Ranger has had a long road, and it has been hilly and bumpy, and he has managed to stick it out and persevere, and I couldn't be more happier for him.
Yes.
What a great man. Lastly, let's make sure that we do our part with get our generators ready to go. Looks like we have some tumultuous weather this week.
really?
We know that ice storms could potentially lead to power losses and outages, so make sure your generator's good to go. You've got fuel, got a few blankets, maybe some firewood. You're ready to go.
Awesome. Thank you. The only thing I wanted to mention too is I had the privilege, Thursday morning, I was in the Millside Elementary School, and And they, we're doing this project for the outdoor classroom to revitalize it, and they bring in the Chick-fil-A leadership crew in there, and there's one of our student wrestlers is carrying this trophy with them, you know. Oh yeah, they're all carrying him with them all day. It was the very next day. I went up to talk to him, and you know, I was thinking about that. These parents, I mean, it's a long road, and I know Christy, she's got a son in it, and she's going every weekend here, there, everywhere. It's a long.
This is her third son she's put through that program.
Yes. And, I mean, the parent, everybody just has to be thrilled. And so how many, we're sending 10 gentlemen to districts for individual.
There's 11 state qualifiers.
Right, but there's how many, there's only 10 classifications. So every classification, every weight, wrestling weight that there is, we have someone from our high school going to compete at state level. And then we have one lady wrestler going also. So we have 11 representatives at the individual states, which is at Ford Field the following week. And I know we're going to try to give them a send-off, aren't we, Friday when they leave? This coming Friday for the state, or did anyone talk to you about that, George, yet? Okay. All right.
Momentum is going.
But I think they're leaving at 10 a.m. Friday. So we might,
They're still working out some details in that.
yeah, we might do something for them, but, you know, there's just so much positive stuff going on in our community. I mean, we're blessed, that's all I can say. We are blessed. I mean, it's been wonderful, you know. I had meetings about the sturgeons and about, you know, these kids, and we're doing this classroom, of course, all the wrestlers, you know, and just a lot of positive stuff going on in our community. It's actually a fun time to be supervisor. Busy,
Let's keep it on the tracks.
but fun, yeah, exactly, so. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah,
Support.
all in favor? Aye. Thank you for coming, everybody.